Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that is just incredibly fascinating. We're not looking at a massive 100-page research paper or some dense data set. Nope, we are looking at a single, super specific digital document. It's simply titled Say Memo, which translates from Korean to New Memo. And at first glance it just looks like a quick digital note with a few links tossed in. But when we actually unpack the links saved in this document, wow, it reveals this profound, highly strategic roadmap for managing complex health issues. It's basically a masterclass on how to research and tackle overlapping medical conditions. I am so pumped to guide you through the brilliant logic hiding inside this everyday digital note.
So right off the bat, the whole premise of this memo forces us to ask a really tough but absolutely critical question. How do we navigate overlapping health challenges? Think about it for a second. It's hard enough to face one physical hurdle, right? But what happens when you've got a compounding situation? Specifically, we're talking about the combination of a severe vision issue paired up with a motor control issue. How do you find the right path forward when the solution for one problem is literally hindered by the other? That's the exact puzzle the author of this memo was trying to solve. And honestly, the way they went about it is something we can all learn from.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Inside the new memo. 2. Defining low vision. 3. The essential tremor factor. And finally, 4. Finding assistive devices.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Inside the New Memo, analyzing the 3 pillars of guidance.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that even though this memo is short, we're talking literally just a few lines of text, it's actually a highly curated, deeply authoritative list. The person who put this together, well, they weren't looking for quick fixes or random blog posts. They were building a rock-solid foundation of trusted medical resources to understand their unique situation. Just look at the caliber of these sources. The memo relies on 3 absolute heavyweights in the medical field. We've got the National Eye Institute for official guidance on low vision, the Mayo Clinic for official medical info on essential tremor, and the American Academy of Ophthalmology for official guidance on low vision assistive devices. The author isolated the vision problem, isolated the motor problem, and then targeted the exact medical authorities needed for the overlapping solution. It's a really smart approach.
Moving right along to Section 2, Defining Low Vision. We'll be looking at the official guidance from the NEI.
According to the National Eye Institute, link saved right there in the memo, low vision isn't just about needing a stronger pair of reading glasses. No, we're talking about eye conditions and diseases that cause a major impairment of vision. We mean an impairment that can't just be fully corrected with regular glasses, contacts, medicine, or even surgery. Grasping this baseline condition really requires the official guidance provided by the NEI. Everyday tasks, things like reading a book, cooking dinner, or just recognizing faces, they become monumental hurdles. Usually, the standard medical advice for low vision involves using handheld magnifiers or holding items super close to your face with a steady hand. Okay, keep that steady hand requirement in the back of your mind, because it is absolutely crucial for understanding the rest of this memo.
That brings us to Section 3, the essential tremor factor, utilizing medical information from the Mayo Clinic.
This is where our narrative really shifts, because the second link introduces a massive complication. Imagine, just for a moment, the sheer frustration of what we were just talking about. You have low vision, right? You're trying to read a prescription bottle or maybe a text message on your phone. You're told to use a magnifying glass. But what if your hands shake? What if you literally cannot hold that magnifier steady enough to focus the lens? Suddenly, the standard go-to solution for your first problem is completely off the table because your motor control is compromised. This is the real agitation phase of our health puzzle.
So the second link in the memo goes straight over to the Mayo Clinic to define essential tremor. This is a neurological condition that causes involuntary and rhythmic shaking. As the official medical information details, it can affect almost any part of your body, but the trembling happens most often in your hands. And it kicks in especially when you're doing simple tasks like, say, drinking from a glass, or, crucially, holding a tool. By saving this specific article detailing the symptoms and causes right alongside that low vision link, the creator of the memo is actively diagnosing their exact compounded reality. They're mapping out the whole shebang.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact friction point we're dealing with. On the one hand, managing low vision fundamentally requires steady focus. You've got to keep that lens at the perfect distance from the object and your eye. But on the other hand, essential tremor introduces persistent involuntary movement. The overlapping physical burden here is just a max. A shaking hand makes a handheld magnifier completely useless. In fact, it might actually make the text even harder to read because the magnified image is just bouncing around frantically. The author of Say Memo knew exactly what they were up against.
Now for the final piece of the puzzle. Section 4, Finding Assistive Devices, looking at solutions from the AAO.
Let's move to this next part and see how this all builds together.
This is where the memo pivots from just defining the problems to actively solving them, and it follows this beautifully logical progression. Step 1. Identify the baseline vision issue using the NEI. Step 2. Identify the motor complication, the essential tremor, using the Mayo Clinic. And then, Step 3. Seek specialized assistive devices using the American Academy of Ophthalmology. It's a complete narrative arc going straight from diagnosis to a highly practical intervention. They didn't just throw their hands up at the problem, they mapped out a route directly to the experts who have the exact technological answers.
So the crucial point here is this final link. The memo specifically isolates official guidance on low-vision assistive devices from the AOEEO. Now, this resource isn't just some shopping catalog to buy things. It is official medical guidance on eye health and diseases that focuses entirely on specialized tools. Because of the essential tremor, this patient simply can't use a standard handheld magnifying glass. They need devices that compensate for both the vision loss and the shaking at the same time. We're talking about things like stand magnifiers that rest completely flat on the page, or electronic screen readers, or text-to-speech software. The AOE provides the exact official guidance needed to bridge the gap between these dual challenges.
It's amazing, isn't it? This tiny digital document, basically just a few saved links, is such a powerful testament to self-advocacy and structured learning, and it leaves us with a really compelling thought to end on. How will you use official medical guidance to transform your own overlapping physical challenges into manageable, actionable steps? Whether it's for yourself or maybe a loved one, the new memo proves that by breaking down complex problems and seeking out those authoritative, highly specific sources, we can always find a clear path forward. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. And hey, keep seeking out those answers.